I don't know, man. Something about this does not rub me the right way. And I don't know if it's really just a me thing or if anybody else is going to feel the same way. Either way, this is going to be talked about, and I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. If I'm crazy for seeing a little bit of, I don't know what's the right word here, sliminess in this situation? Hypocrisy? I don't know. There are a lot of options, and of course there are millions and millions of words in the English vocabulary that we could use, but only a few will apply to this situation. Let's head over onto NHL.com. In an article that was published 5 days ago talking about Anaheim Ducks forward prospect Cutter Gauthier and how he is demonstrating leadership skills with the Anaheim Ducks prospects. Forward prospect attends Anaheim development camp after making NHL debut in April. Yeah, today we are talking about Cutter Gauthier and him demonstrating leadership. Okay, you know what? Just from that headline, you could go out there and say, wait a minute, what? Leadership. Interesting way to describe this guy and his entire profile as a hockey player. Because when it comes to Cutter Gauthier, I don't think anybody really immediately jumps to thinking about his leadership when they try to understand what it is about his game or his story that makes him interesting. Most people, when thinking about Cutter Gauthier, would immediately jump to the way he wanted out of Philadelphia and the ugly story that happened there. He didn't attend camp and it was a big deal, and Flyers fans were trying to say, okay, no, it's not that big of a deal. He's just wanted to focus on his college program. He wants to stick around in Boston. He doesn't want to really commit too heavily to the NHL team. He's not going to sign, that's fine. He'll play another year in Boston, and he'll tear up the NCAA scene, which he did. He'll tear up the World Juniors, which he did. It was a little bit concerning to everybody a year ago that he didn't want to sign with Philadelphia right away, but there was a reasonable enough justification to explain why he would want to do that. But then, as time went on, we learned that essentially Cutter Gauthier ghosted the Philadelphia Flyers. He was not really responding to what they wanted to do with him, and eventually he forced his way out. He got traded to Anaheim in a big trade. Jamie Drysdale sent over to Philadelphia, and for the most part, everybody was kind of shocked. Okay, why did the Flyers trade away Gauthier? They just waxed poetic about this guy at the World Juniors. He was so good, so talented, so skilled. Why did they trade him away? Oh, well, it turns out that he's the one that actually wanted out. It turns out that he turned his back on the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Flyers were forced to make some sort of a deal happen, but they had to keep it all secret because if it was leaked out that he didn't want to be in Philadelphia anymore, the Flyers would have lost all their leverage. That is what people think about when they think about Cutter Gauthier, not the leadership. So I wanted to go out there and take a look at this piece to try to get where it's coming from with this entire leadership angle. So let's go out there and read this piece by Dan Arrett. The final week of the NHL regular season provided Cutter Gauthier a glimpse into his future with the Anaheim Ducks. The 20-year-old left wing was impressed with what he saw. I was here for 6 days, and it felt like I was here all year, Gauthier said on the opening day of development camp. The article talks about how Gauthier was pretty much going through the ringer with the NCAA, although he eventually signed his 3-year ELC with the Ducks immediately after his Boston college career ended. Being the new guy on the block, they weren't strangers at all, Gauthier said of his new teammates. They all reached out and congratulated me on the season and said they were excited to meet me. He then played with the Anaheim Ducks, made his debut. Here's what Coach Greg Cronin went out there and said about Gauthier. He's got good hands, good vision, and a good burst of speed. And this is where things take a pretty interesting twist, because Cutter Gauthier already played his first NHL game, which means that he actually had the option of opting out of development camp. But he could not pass up the opportunity to meet other young players in Anaheim. Matt McIlvaine, the coach of the San Diego Gulls, Anaheim's affiliate in the AHL, said Gauthier showed his maturity on the first day of development camp. Cutter said right away, I want to be a leader for the guys who are experiencing camp for the first time, McIlvaine said. For someone new in the organization to jump in and take on that responsibility right away, I applauded him for it. As for his on-ice development, Gauthier said he is working on all aspects, but mainly gearing up for physical and mental demands of a long season. I've never played 82 games in my life in a season, maybe in youth hockey, but nowhere near this level at the NHL, so just being ready mentally and obviously getting ready physically this summer is the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to. So, based off of this interview, it seems like Cutter Gauthier's spot on the Ducks for 82 games in 24-25 is all but guaranteed. However, I wanted to respond to some of these ideas, because this article, of course, has a pretty bold headline: Gauthier demonstrating leadership skills. And the funny part is, if you go and read it, it doesn't actually say where those leadership skills are coming from. It just says that the coach is saying, yeah, I want to be a leader. Okay, great. The article talks about how Gauthier wants to be a leader, but it doesn't actually say how he's doing that. And that aspect of the article is why this entire thing kind of blew up. It was posted onto the Our Hockey subreddit, it had a whole bunch of comments, and the comments in this thread are kinda hilarious, and I wanted to show this off here on the video too. It would be nice if the article mentioned how he was demonstrating leadership, because saying you want to be a leader isn't the same as being one. Tracer Bullet replies, by forcing a trade without ever playing a game for a team you said you wanted to be a part of. Winky face from a Philadelphia Flyers fan. All Philadelphia had to do was burn 1 year of his ELC, and it all could have been avoided. Unfortunately, this wasn't really communicated to the management. Haha. Another reply here says he seems like he'll be good as long as he gets his way all the time and gets everything that he wants, which is very tongue-in-cheek, but based off of what we have seen so far with him not wanting to sign in Philadelphia and demanding a trade out of their organization, yeah, it kinda checks out. We could say that about Dubois for a bit until it all imploded in LA. I wonder if guys like that need constant motivation. For example, when Dubois got his bag, he mailed it in. I wonder if he'd be better if he was going from contract to contract. Here's what a Colorado Avalanche fan says, Reed McGee. Honestly, I love Drysdale and such, but if I was a Flyers fan, I'd be pissed. And we have some extra comments from fans in the know. Anaheim Ducks fan Zorath said, in theory, Drysdale is a future star, but he hasn't proven that he can stay healthy enough through an NHL season, which is not a good sign when you are in your early 20s. Another Flyers fan goes out there and responds, saying, nah, I'm not really pissed off about this Cutter Gauthier interview, and neither is most of the subreddit. Cutter Gauthier has proven to be an entitled brat. It stings to have lost a top prospect, but not losing him particularly. We have loved what we have seen out of Jamie Drysdale so far, even with the injuries, and there's only upside if he can stay healthy. It's the same thing the Jets are going through, and I hope them the best with their problem player as well. Problem player, okay, nice way to put it with Rutger McGroarty there. Funny how this is a post about his leadership, and we have to remind people of the way he and his agent handled the situation in Philly. Regardless of, quote, how the handoff from Fletcher to Briere may have happened, the team drafting you has a plan and discusses it with you. It doesn't mean you should be entitled to demand anything when you've proven nothing at all at the top league level. Yeah, the complete lack of communication from him or the agent when this was all happening, and the lack of any kind of story refuting anything that Jones or Briere said, tells a story, and it's not a good one of old Billy Goat. It's one of entitlement and locker room cancer that I'm so glad never made it here. We don't need another Kevin Hayes. The story and timeline all makes complete sense. Boston begged him to come back, and the Flyers didn't beg him to turn pro and sign right away. He took offense to that because it hurt his ego and then ghosted the team like a goddamn middle school girl. Couldn't give a crap less what happens to the kid now. Hopefully Anaheim is going to be able to mitigate the impact his attitude is going to have on the room. Yeah, so you can kind of see where Philadelphia Flyers fans are pointing their fingers at and what their opinions are. They say they're not butthurt, which I honestly do believe, but it's like one of those things where, okay, I might not be like fuming at the seams about this, there's no steam coming out of my ears, but if you really ask me for my opinion, if we're going on the subject, then I have some things to say. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. I know, like, oh, they said they were not pissed off, but then the guy goes out on an entire rant. No, it's not really that. You can make rants and you can make long-winded monologues hating on things without being pissed off about it. But either way, I thought this was funny enough to share on the YouTube channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about how Cutter Gauthier is demonstrating leadership with the Anaheim Ducks prospects, and how this kind of contradicts the entire identity that he had built up for himself when he was a prospect of the Philadelphia Flyers. Thoughts in the comment section below. Article and Reddit post will be linked. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.